Hi, my name is Wes Pendleton. I'm a co-founder and the managing partner of Soul Surplus. When we first started Soul Surplus as a company in late 2016, the ideas behind new products came easy. At that time, we were extremely boutique, with only myself and my partners, John and Joel Mcneill, creating the products from top to bottom. We only averaged around one product a month, which allowed us to take a bit of time with each release. Fast forward to the spring and summer of this year, and at one point we were releasing 3 products a week. There were so many factors for doing so, but we knew going in that we wouldn't be able to sustain our productivity at that clip. In June, we had a long meeting discussing where we were going in the next few quarters and beyond. One thing that we immediately agreed upon was slowing down a lot. We wanted to get back to that boutique feel, taking our time with ideas and creativity, focusing heavily on the story behind each release, and deep diving into the foundations of all things surrounding it, including sound and visual aesthetic. The journey from idea to creation to distribution isn't always easy, and we all agreed that it was time to create formal operations to streamline our process that much more. We've made a good habit of recording our discussions and meetings, and we toyed around with the idea of letting our most loyal followers in on some of the process behind the products they've grown to love. In this episode, you'll hear a recorded discussion between myself and John Smythe. This audio is raw, straight from the recorder, and only edited in certain places for trade secret purposes. You'll also hear John hop in to elaborate on certain portions in the audio timeline. These points were recorded after the initial conversation. This is Process to Product, Episode 1. So let's begin the meeting this August 29th. I'm over here with Smythe, and we're discussing the new sample pack that's coming out late September. What's the name of it? What was the name you called it?
Pastries.
Okay, and that was Dylan inspired, right?
Yeah, so I don't know if you ever heard Old Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would consider it. It was like Dilla when he was most inspired by Pete Rock.
Okay.
And Q-Tip, and of course, Q-Tip. We kind of covered that with what was that called? Zulu Theory.
Right.
And we've also covered some of Dilla was more so the Soulquarians with Chocolate Water.
Right.
So I'm thinking I want to go in a direction of like something a little more like dirty and a basement, but still with that pre-neo soul.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Right. So kind of like Slum Village-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that idea.
Because Slum Village, I feel like especially in this area,
mm-hmm.
people love to play Fall in Love.
Right.
That's like a Philly musician thing.
True.
But whenever I hear people cover that, it's very clean.
Mm-hmm.
And there was really nothing clean about Dilla.
Nah.
Before. I mean, in general, but especially like before 2000.
Right.
It was super, super, super like dirty. So
I think the biggest difference between the Soulquarian sound and Dilla's sound before the Soulquarians is, Dilla's drums and his bass and his sample technique. So Dilla was a part of the Soulquarians, and the Soulquarians was a super group back in the early 2000s. It was The Roots, I believe Raphael Sadiq, D'Angelo, Erykah Badu. But to me, the Soulquarians, at least when I listened, it was really a Philly thing, with, the sound of Questlove producing it, sort of being the heart and soul. I think that was the most consistent thing throughout, what the Soulquarians produced, be it like Water for Chocolate, the Voodoo album. To me, that Philly sound is what was most consistent. And Dilla's sound before Soulquarians, so we're getting into Slum Village, Tribe Called Quest, Far Side. To me, that was a really Detroit sound that he created.
We already started doing the bloated packs, I like to call them.
Yeah.
So you're thinking still 15 melodics for this, and then one shots and all that stuff. Any drums this time around, or what do you think?
No, so that's the thing. We already have the pack we did with Stolen Drums,
True.
one for Dilla.
Got you.
Um,
So you said stylistically, we're more like, you're more thinking like Slum Village ish, like right, like in between Slum Village and Soulquarians era, or even like
right.
even because technically they're kind of in the same vein. Though I kind of feel like Slum Village is kind of pre Soulquarians technically.
Yeah. I would consider it's closer to like the stuff he was doing with Tribe,
Okay, got you,
like
got you,
Far
got you,
Side
got you.
and Slum Village.
Right. So mid '90s.
Right. Mid 90s, yeah, and I would say even because the Soulquarian stuff, you think it's like what's the drummer with the afro?
Quest.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, you are a wilder right now. No, I sometimes we get those brain farts. It's all good.
Yeah. Questlove, like a lot of that stuff is actually pretty clean, and that's to me that's what makes it sound good. Or like D'Angelo, a lot of those drums are real clean and they smack. But like when I listen to Old Donuts, the drums are just so loud. It's like drums and bass,
Right.
and then somehow the way the other stuff is mixed in there, like the whatever instruments are in the sample, they're kind of like second to the bass.
Okay.
So
Is there any albums from that era I should go back and listen to, like re-listen to again?
oh
Because obviously I'm gonna take, we're gonna take this and then I gotta go and do Design Brief with L, or
Yeah.
excuse me, with Zari. I don't want to give out his government name,
Yeah.
but gotta take ideas to go back to him. So like stylistically, we're thinking like more dirty,
yeah.
and then you said pastry, so it's like, and you said old donuts, so maybe even like stylistically, we won't make it like a super clean, like visually.
Yeah,
We'll make it like a nasty donut shop. That probably would be fire.
Musty donuts.
Yeah. Well, how, like you ever like look at some of those old. Well, you might not be old enough to remember, but like when I was a kid, like there would be like donut shops that were disgusting, and the donuts would be phenomenal. But there would be like mom and pop places, but it would be like it had like a C plus rating
Yeah,
or something like that. So maybe we can parlay off of that stylistically, visually, to
yeah.
play on that. That would be kind of fire.
The way that his sub bass moved the tracks, the way his drums were mixed, I guess some people would say too loud, but that was the vibe to me. It was definitely more of, I would say, a guttural approach. And it's, to me, I loved it because what's the best way to get people's heads moving? You turn the drums up. That's what it sounds like to me. And I don't know anyone that did it better than Dilla. So yeah, that, and along with the sampling, to me, the way he sampled, there's a lot of naturally with sampling off of vinyl, there's a lot of noise, and the way he filtered his samples, the way the bass just sat underneath the samples, there's definitely a lot of East Coast influence, but again, it was a Detroit sound to me, and that was a beautiful thing about it. You could hear his influences all throughout his career, but he had a sound that was mostly his. So that's how it is.
15 melodic loops. I think we maybe should push to try to, because what are we hovering around one hits for packs this size, like 200 some one hits now, or like 150?
It depends. It really depends. Definitely, I would say definitely clearing 100.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the pack. So something like this, I'm definitely gonna be doing a lot of chords. So yeah, definitely around 100. Of course, like a few over 100, but I think that's probably like the safest. 100 one shots. There's 15 loops, so it's probably gonna be total around. Let's say we average like 5 loops, per loop. So that's 75 plus 75 for the clean ones.
Right.
That's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. So like I said, it'd probably be approaching like 150.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also too, I know we were talking when we finished the last pack, since we walked into doing the clean and the wet versions, I think you were actually saying that you were thinking about even pushing the wet version just a little bit harder now.
Yeah.
Now that we can technically.
Yeah.
So that'll be fire.
That's the sound.
Yeah, straight up. What so if you push it, what are you thinking? Like how dirty are you trying to go? Because we haven't had anything dirty in a while, so you might.
Yeah, no, I'm pushing it all the way. Again, like I think you mentioned before, albums. Like if you listen to, of course, like Old Donuts, most obviously, but Fantastic Volume 1 and 2 by Slum Village. I would even go, even though it's not produced by Dilla, but like Group Home.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. J. Rue. Definitely. I would say even closer to that. I would say I want to go sonically closer to like Boot Camp Click.
Okay.
So like Smith and Wesson.
Gotcha.
And that stuff is like intentionally.
It's kind of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's funny because we were talking about this on the contents of this package, the last podcast, and we were talking about how back in the day they were intentionally trying to make it super clean. Yeah. And then we kind of like disrupted it by actually making stuff worse. Yeah. By dirtying it up and somehow that, confirmed that it was more hip hop than not if it was dirty, you know what I'm saying?
When you listen to it, Dilla sounded like Q-Tip and he sounded like Pete Rock. But it just had that Detroit flavor on it, Like it was, at least when I listen to it, I hear a lot of Q-Tip influence.
Got you.
And I hear a lot of Pete Rock influence. So now better, that's subjective, but
right.
But it makes sense,
So even like so you're thinking because I'm trying to go back a lot of loop inspired. I'm thinking like from a formatting standpoint, a little more loop heavy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, that's why I think it's a good thing that this is a loop pack and not a composition pack.
Right.
Because Old Donuts is basically like 2-bar loops.
Right.
Or maybe 4-bar loops, But they're loops that you can just sit and just fall in that pocket.
Got you. Okay. All right. Cool. I think we're probably good with that. Yeah. So I'll take this and get the audio annotated, and then get everything over to L, and then we can kind of move from there. I'll get the design brief out to him. We'll be good to go.
Cool.
All right, man. When you're paying homage to a great like JD, the details are most critical in achieving the final sound. They don't call these guys and gals the GOATs for no reason. Having a clear understanding of execution makes all of the difference. And every week we continue to put our best foot forward, creating soundscapes we feel worthy of the ones who inspired us in the first place. Join us on our next episode as we discuss our latest pack, Hidden Gems. A nod to the jewels we used to find in dollar bins and our grandmother's basements. In the meantime, you can learn more about the Pastries sample pack on our other podcasts, The Contents of This Package, which can be heard on all podcast platforms, our YouTube channel, and our website, soulsurplus.com. See you next time.